Is this the way through the mountains? Because I really need to get through quickly. It's not. Fuck. Okay.
Ancient Lao-Shan Lung, old mountain dragon. He is a sight to behold. And also, a lot of sight is required to behold the full him because he's fucking massive. A giant dragon. Few have seen it and live to tell the tale. When on a rampage, it wreaks havoc on all in its path. The guild has built a fortress to repel the beast. But will it hold? Yes, it will hold. Any remotely non-AFK group of 4 people is probably gonna repel him as he slowly ignores nearly everything that you do in his effort to plow forward in a straight line. Because
I'm not an ambi-turner.
Though to give it its due diligence, the Lao-Shan Lung fight, at least initially, does have a certain gravitas. You gotta remember, he came in at the very first Monster Hunter, and his scope was beyond anything you were expecting. And by yourself, it was quite the intense, I don't know how I'm gonna do enough damage in time. It wasn't the, well, watching a painting of grass growing drying affair. It becomes in a well-coordinated team, so, you know, I can't just look at it through my now lens. Back when I was a wee lad and I faced Lao-Shan for the first time, I was just lost as to how I would bring him down. I don't mind admitting I failed a few times, but, you know, that was a long time ago before it became amazing. But, you know, irrelevant of the fact that modern Lao-Shan Lung farming essentially equates to...
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
But the creature itself, well, is truly fascinating and kinda terrifying. I mean, just from the size standpoint, it's 70 meters long and can walk through a mountain like it's not there. In fact, essentially, that's what's happening. That's why Lao-Shan goes, well, at least attempts to go through the fortress. Yes, the common theory is that he has been chased by Fatalis, the strongest, the most powerful, the god of monsters, a black dragon, and the first amongst them. But at the same time, Lao-Shan Lung's not the smartest cookie, because, you know, when you play an RPG and you want to get from one location to another, but there's a mountain in the middle. So instead of, like, finding a way around, you try and spam jump up the mountain, trying to get yourself stuck in weird geometry until you can just power through. That's how a Lao-Shan Lung do. He doesn't believe in alternate pathways. He will try very much to just go through settlements, fortresses, the very earth. He doesn't care for the tiny beings whittling away at him, or the tiny beings screaming as they are passively crushed by either his weight and clawed apocalyptic rending claws, or the earthquakes he sends tremoring out with every step, rubbling buildings and disintegrating structures as everyone flees and is silenced. He doesn't care, but, you know, the fact remains, passively, he causes a lot of damage. Hell, he is known as the first and true walking natural disaster. And that's kind of sad. He's got that reputation, because he is quite a swell guy, one of the calmest and most well-tempered monsters of them all. Now, he likes to live in either volcanic or mountainous areas, and his hide is grown as passively minerals affix to him and thicken his already mighty plates that can repel all but Dragonator-level attacks.
Oh, whoa, not cool!
Now, this is a slow process, mostly coming from fine particles in the air, settling and fusing with his mighty carapace. And this is what leads the guild to believe Lao-Shan Lung, or at least the one we encounter, is thousands of years old. They are known as the Old Mountain Dragon for a reason. Now there is, let's say, a popular theory that the Lao-Shan is a juvenile, and it's one I think definitely has merit, and it's one that I think would be fun to feel is true, because if that's a baby, what's the big one? But more likely, more accurately, there is more evidence to suggest, well, he is fully grown, and then some. Wise beyond years, they are long-lived till, well, nobody knows, but hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of years are a fair guess to be made. In fact, we have no idea what actually goes down with the juveniles. Where are they born? Where are they protected? Where are they grown? There is a lot of mystery surrounding this enigmatic behemoth. But what we do know is its horn is absolutely horn-like. I forgot what I was gonna say! But guys, his horn, it is horn-like. It can pierce even the thickest hides, and is also a symbol of status for a Lao-Shan Lung. It growing over the course of his years, they rise to prominence with this beautiful ornament, declaring proudly the power and majesty of this dragon. Now, quite possibly the most fascinating aspect of Lao-Shan Lung is not he himself, but his involvement in a legendary story, a tragedy, the incident of the Five. A hunting party was sent after Lao-Shan Lung. From Kokoto village, 5 Wyverians answered the call of Lao-Shan Lung, including the village chief and his fiancée. The battle that raged was fierce. Lao-Shan uncharacteristically fighting back. It was brutal, it was bloody, and one of those hunters did not make it back. The chief's fiancée. The other 4 retired after the hunt, and this story spread throughout the land. Even with the successful defeat of Lao-Shan Lung, the loss was felt across many hearts. And those of superstition, hunters everywhere, they took it as a sign. It became known as bad luck to hunt with 5 or more hunters. So many ended in tragic ends for friends and family to many. In order to stop this, the guild added a rule, a sacred law that only 4 hunters at most could ever hunt together. There are a few exceptions for emergencies, for monsters who can bring such wrath to bear that humanity is threatened. But for the most part, if you step out with 5, ruin will fall upon you. So really, it's right unlucky what happened to those sods, because Lao-Shan Lung spends most of its time asleep deep below deep below mountain ranges, where occasionally it will wake and gorge itself upon mineral-rich rock that it will extract what it can from and use it to fuel its body. If it was a simple meat-eater, the volume it would need to consume is, well, unsustainable. This also lends credence to the fleeing fatalis theory, because to see a Lao-Shan Lung so set on getting somewhere, so rattled, so, well, active and moved, something has to have caused it. He can also stand on his hind legs, his mighty tail acting as anchor, rearing up to full height, and
It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not.
Still, we should run like it is Godzilla!
Though it isn't.
and it will let loose roars so forceful, very cliffs will break apart, shatter, and come tumbling to earth as deadly missiles. It really is just such an awe-inspiring, naturally powerful creature that doesn't go out its way for any malice, nor does it go out of its way for any good. It simply exists, but its existence can be devastation for those around it. And it is quite sad that we have to put him down, or at least repel him on his way. A simple misunderstanding, you could say, causing such conflict, but that sometimes is what the hunters must do. The monsters don't often deserve their deaths. They're often in the wrong place at the wrong time, acting out, doing what comes natural, surviving any means that they can. It just so happens humans are more than willing to do the same, and it's quite a sadly poetically beautiful part of Monster Hunter to me, that this conflict is not good versus evil. It really is just the essence of surviving in such a cruel, harsh, and frightening world where your average creature can rip your fucking head off as soon as look at you. Okay? So that's the Lao-Shan Lung. There's really not a lot to say. It's part of a legend. It is legendary. But in how it works, it's not too crazy. It doesn't have a lot going for it. It just throws its weight around. There is, however, a subspecies, the Ashen Lao-Shan Lung, and this one is simply a denizen of volcanic regions, where ash in the air, as well as the minerals, have fused to his exterior, and giving him a much darker, deadlier look. They are a little bit larger, they are a little bit more powerful, but by and large, they are the Lao-Shan Lung that you know and hopefully love. Ooh. Though it does tend to roam a lot more, spending a lot less time in hibernation. It likes to get around and see the world, which makes them a lot more of a problem for, well, humans in any of its path. But, you know, what you gonna do? It's just a giant mountain dragon. You know, it's not his fault if he happens to roll over you. So the real question then is, would you like to see him in World? Those of you that have experienced him, would you like him to make a return? And for those of you seeing him for now, does he tickle your fancy? Because he is the original huge fight, the OG of ginormous. What the fuck? Ow! It's what? I've never felt that my sword was so inadequate, and I kind of find it sad he's kind of gone by the wayside. Yes, he's in GU, which, you know, is the most recent game, but I don't see him ever making a return without significant changes, because the fight's just not as fun as, well, most other things, even though you do get to use a quad Dragonator and the Destroyer, which is an impressive cannon that lights just everything on fire in an explosive, intense blast, and that should actually tell you just how strong Lao-Shan Lung is. We have the strongest weaponry made by humanity, launching it at him over and over and over, bringing everything to bear, and it still takes a near miracle, at least lore-wise, to repel or nay, even kill him, and I think that's really quite fascinating. But, I mean, in fairness, I could totally see, right, because his shell gains much kind of like Kulf Taroth, but not as extreme, a tinge of his environment. Imagine a Lao-Shan Lung in the caverns of El Dorado, having a glittering gold as he pulls himself through. You could actually do something really, really neat with that. The one thing that we need in World, outside of Zora, which you can run on the back of, but a more fightable monster that you can get on the back of, like you can with Lao or Dalamadur back in day, I think you could make him quite cool if he sieged a fortress properly. You know, there is artwork of him that makes it look That's such. I want to be part of that. Look at that. My God. And if you could recreate that feeling, that experience and world, which I think is entirely, at least nearly possible, you might have something really special. But there you have it, guys. Lao-Shan Lung. He is just...
He just looks like Grandpa Rathalos to me.
Shut up! He is... It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. He doesn't know. He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know any better. Like you enjoyed this, guys. Subscribe for more. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.